Terry, it's so nice to see you this morning. Will you do us a favor and introduce yourself? Tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Terry Anderson, and I'm a full-time real estate broker with Beard Warner. And this is actually my third career. So I started full-time in real estate in 2006. And full-time is when you go to work every day.
Yes.
And most of my family will tell you that I've walked and talked real estate since I purchased my first property when I was 21 years old.
I see.
For cash, you know. And then I tripled that and thought, oh, this is real estate. But I actually worked for the hotel industry for a long time, 17 years, where I did a lot of relocation, and then opened up my own personal business in the interim, and I'm doing what I love.
That's nice that you say. Do you still love it after all this time?
Yeah, I do, because working with people that have a dream, helping them define what that dream is, walk them through how they think they'd like to live, what would best suit them, is really rewarding for me.
You've been in this long enough to have gone through some significant changes in the industry. Talk about how you think, what the good and the bad changes have come in the industry, if you would.
Well, I think the good part is that the industry itself, real estate, in terms of education for realtors, has really much improved to represent buyers and sellers. So there's so much more education that maybe wasn't around many years ago. Mm-hmm. So when I represent a seller or a buyer, I really come to the table with a big, huge box of tools. And so I think that that's really helpful. The internet gets everything a little messy for people, so I have to kind of comb through that. And
I think that's one of the biggest skills you bring to the table, though. You know, people were sure that once the internet came, we weren't going to need real estate brokers anymore. I think the exact opposite has happened. One of the things I was listening to this morning is this overwhelming data dump that we are all getting about everything, and it's the only thing it's doing for us mostly is making us anxious. And I think it does the same thing in real estate for people looking for houses.
I agree. You know, one story that I've told a few times was a young family buying their first home, and the husband was a math genius. You know, everything he received was off the internet. So he came to the table with all the stats he thought were exactly correct. And I tried to explain to him that the internet has not seen the inside of any of those homes.
Right.
So once you open the front door, a new story is told.
That's a lovely way to put it. Once you open the front door, a new story is told. And that's really the truth of the matter.
Right.
There are other changes that have come about. What are some of the other changes you've seen?
Well, in terms of inventory, I mean, back in the day, not all that long ago, when the inventory was high, the average home was on the market for 6 months. And I did a lot of relocation and have over the years where I would be showing 10 to 12 homes in a day to a buyer. And that is pretty exhausting. You really get your exercise and steps in. But today, when you're out looking for a home, you might be showing one. Then maybe in a couple of days you show another one, because the inventory is so low for what that buyer's looking for. In terms of a seller, they really need a lot of hand-holding. Really need to walk them through the process, especially a seller that has owned a home for a great number of years. You know, their perspective is, you know, a little different.
Yes.
They have not sold a home in maybe 20, 30, 40 years.
Yes.
They have no idea how it's going to happen. And of course, they feel as though all of their belongings are very valuable, and their children don't want any of them.
Of course not, yes. That's a big problem that actually, I think well, I don't know if it's this industry, but we're struggling with that.
Yes.
Is that you have a house full of stuff. Kids don't want it. We have a whole cottage industry is growing up
Right.
of people who will now come in and take your silver and take your antiques and take your china and try to dispose of it. And I think it's very disheartening for sellers.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to, you know, especially something that you either received for your own wedding
Yes.
or hand me down from your mother or father or your grandmother or whatever. But, you know, today's life is a little, you know, slim, a little leaner in terms
Yes.
of, they certainly don't want to dust any tchotchkes.
There. I want to go back to with something you said. We've not talked very much in these Friday Fuels about relocation. Tell me a little bit about, you're still doing some relocation,
Right,
I'm assuming. I don't think as much as we used to.
No, it's not anywhere
But
near.
talk a little bit about relocation when you're doing relocation. What kind of business that is? Because we really have not had much discussion about that.
So, in terms of the real estate part of the business?
Yes, in terms of the real estate part of the business.
The person gets either transferred here and accepted a job, or they come here to decide if they want to look at the area before they accept a job. And I think that the biggest difficulty in working with a relocation executive is that sometimes they have not received any community economic information, and so they're coming from Ohio to Chicago, and the prices are just staggeringly different, and so that's a big jump for them, and maybe they really can't afford some of these homes, or they have to downscale. Maybe they have a beautiful home in Ohio, 4 or 5 bedroom home, and here that qualifies for a 3-2.
Yes.
And that's very disheartening sometimes for them. On the other hand, sometimes they come with a good package, and it finds a really beautiful home because maybe where they're coming from, it hasn't been a lot of properties to consider. Maybe their inventory is really lean, and maybe there's a home in Barrington that fits their needs, or Lake Zurich, or Northbrook, or wherever. Everything has a price tag, though.
Everything has a price tag. That, I think, is always with relocation, because we're on this side of relocation.
Right.
Has always been sticker shock, has always been the biggest challenge, I think, for us.
Right.
People would come from, Oklahoma. Oh, surprise. Your house isn't going to be as nice here as it was in Oklahoma. Challenges with that.
Right. And then leaving here and going elsewhere, I think the biggest sticker shock in my recent year was someone that sold a really beautiful 4-bedroom home in Buffalo Grove and thought they would go to Arizona and be able to buy, a home for equal value, and the prices were way higher.
In Arizona,
too. Arizona as well. And then I had a couple that moved from a beautiful home in Barrington, beautiful house that I actually helped them buy a couple years ago, and they made good money on a sale with 9 offers actually, and they moved out to Dallas, and they sold something for 6 1/4 and ended up losing 12 deals in Dallas, and they finally got one for $875, and they weren't ready for that sticker shock.
It's interesting that all of a sudden we're having sticker shock going the other way.
Exactly.
Going the other way.
Right.
In there you said something that I think is one of the differences that we've seen in the last few years. They had 9 offers. You had 12 offers. How are you handling, and what are you seeing in the marketplace with these tremendous amount of offers? I've had one of the younger brokers I interviewed for this said, I start my conversations with my buyers by saying, it's very likely you're going to lose the first few houses you make an offer on. And I thought, well, that just sucks the life right out of the fun of buying a house. Are you doing the same thing with your people?
So every buyer comes with a different financial package,
right?
And I do have that conversation, especially with people that are they make good money, they qualify for just about anything that they want to buy.
Yes.
And so therefore they're surprised that somebody else would offer more than them, or maybe more than the value they think that the house is. And so that does come as a big surprise, and it's hard to swallow.
Yes.
For sure. But then, the good news is when you're experienced and you've had a lot of training, there's so many ways to put a package together. And the best class I've ever taken was the certified negotiation class. And I have taken so many transactions and reworked them using those negotiation skills. And this last offer that came through from my seller, we had 5 offers, and they were all really good offers, but the one that they accepted was the one that the terms were so much better than the others. They all put 20% down. So we're all very qualified people to buy the house. But, it might be an escalation clause, it might be a mortgage gap agreement, it might be a rent back for free or a minimal amount of money. It could be an ease of move in and move out date in terms of closing. And, that makes it easier for the seller. The seller is going to take that deal.
Interesting that you say that, because now with the issue that's come into our marketplace with buyer's agreements, and I'm going to switch again, and you've been with Baird & Warner a long time. Baird & Warner has been in the fore of saying, use your buyer's agreements. Right. One of the things that we're back to trying to teach agents again, and education, is what's your value. And you just talked very strongly about two things that I think are your value. One of them is education in general, but the other is a very specific thing about negotiation skills. Right. How would you, if I was a buyer, for example, how would you present to me, how would you tell me about it's nice to say I've got great negotiating skills. How else would you tell me about your negotiating skills?
So I would say that if they're, open to talking about different ways to take the contract and move the money around a different way, let's talk about all those different ways of doing things to get the deal for you. Sometimes it is asking for credit at closing. Sometimes it is willing to, instead of, here we pay our taxes in the rears. So instead of asking for 105 or 110 or 120% of tax proration, why don't you offer zero? Look at that. You're buying a house that has $20,000 tax bill. That seller doesn't have to bring $20,000 to the table. You're paying over $20,000 over the list, but it's a different feeling for the seller. And those are very unique and different kinds of skills that you rarely ever see.
Yes. And that's an important word that you used in there, is that feeling. And I think that too many people are looking at the numbers. This is buying or selling your house is just full of numbers. And for some people, that's all it is.
Right.
But for those people you're talking about who are selling, who've been in their house for 28 years, that's not only numbers. There's a whole lot of emotions and things that go with that.
Sure. More than 50% of my business for years has been over the 50 age bracket, you might say. So they're buying their last dream home. They're downsizing. They're downsizing to something beautiful. And they want it all. So it's not unusual that they're selling a $500,000 house. Like my last client bought a brand new construction that home for $750,000. Or they downsized to a townhouse that is now, $5 1/4, needs $125,000 of rehab, and there's $700 a month HOA. So in terms of the number, you have to know the finances, if it's all going to work. Right. But they're going to live there for a while. They want it. In terms of the client that bought new construction, I took her all over the place looking for a ranch house. She couldn't find anything she liked. I found a lot in a beautiful neighborhood. It was a home, one home that stood out that was going to be worth more than anything else, and all these new homes were built around it. Yes. They finally sold it, so she purchased that lot. I took her to a home that was being built by a builder that I knew. I said, I think you should see this ranch home. You can't buy it. It's already under contract. But if you like it, let's go negotiate, ask him to build you that home. So that's a little extra step as a buyer's agent to do all of that, to handhold that client through. Yes, you do like this home? Okay, let's go chat with the builder. Let's work out, let's have him build that home for you on this lot. And she moved in, it's lovely.
You talked about in the beginning, you said, I have a whole lot more tools. We have a whole lot more tools. That's what you've been talking about the whole time we've been talking. I have this tool, and I have that tool, and I have that tool. I think you're a great example of that. I'm not sure that everybody's figuring out that they have that toolbox, to tell you the truth. I think you're more unusual than usual in that. But I think that's the value that's going to keep realtors in business and never let the internet take their business away.
Oh, I really think only a really skilled, good buyer's agent can compete today with a buyer. The other thing is I counseled an agent not too long ago that was really running after her paycheck. I said, never, ever think of your paycheck when you're working with a buyer or seller. That is the last thing that should come to mind. It's the service that you provide for your buyer and seller. And it was a home that she put under contract recently that had to go over, and she used all the different ideas and to get the deal. But the home is not right for the buyer. You know, she went to all this explanation of all the things that were wrong for the buyer. I go, why did you talk him into buying this house? You should fold. you should
fold. This isn't right.
This is going to follow you forever.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing.
That's the other. I like that. Don't chase your paycheck. I think that's a good piece of advice. Any other advice you have for newer people starting?
Well, just like starting any new business, you probably better have 6 months to a year's
Good advice.
savings, because it doesn't come easy. It is, you're pretty much on call every day if you have a client base. Christmas, New Year's, evenings, weekends, holidays, on vacation. It's when you're self-employed, then it's not a 9-to-5 job.
Okay. Someone told me once that the membrane between personal life and professional life for realtors is very thin. Is very thin.
I've been in business, self-employed for over 30 years.
Right.
So I had another business. And the first thing that I learned when you first go into business for yourself is that you should fill your calendar with your personal life.
Okay.
And then if something comes up, you take that appointment outside those times. Because you cannot give up your whole personal life for a job.
Have you made a lot of friends that sold? Because I know much of your business is referral business at this
Yes.
point. Have you? One of the things I've noticed about people who've been in business a long time is that many of the people you do business with now are also your friends.
For sure.
Are also, and that's what I'm talking about with being the membrane being.
Right.
They are now the people that you meet for lunch. They are the
Right,
people you have
exactly.
breakfast with, and they'll give you referral business, but it's not because they know you're a good realtor, but also they're just part of your life right now.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yes.
I think so too. Because if, they have confidence in your abilities, why would you just answer? Why would you make a phone call or a postcard that you got that you've never heard knew the person,
Right. Yes.
or a letter in the mail?
Terry, thank you for coming and being with us today. Just a note, the views of our guests may not reflect the views of the North Shore-Barrington Association of Realtors.